What are we up to tonight? Well, we're going to look at a bunch of stuff that I haven't gone over during the week. Now, there's a few things that I have gone over and that we'll go over again because I think they deserve a second look. But most of this stuff is new, so it's new for me too. Worky, hello again. Hey, radio streamer, how you doing? You know what I forgot? Forgot to get some Twitter puppies racked up in case we need a palate cleanser. I don't know. I don't know if we'll need to go there on this one. So what are we going to look at? Well, first off, we've got this archaeologists discovered this gruesome Tower of Skulls in Mexico City thing, and it's a feminist angle to this somehow. They seem to get into everything, don't they? Let's see. After it lied about Israel, New York Times verification badge removed by X. Yes, so they're saying Elon Musk took away the New York Times verification badge for lying. And I think that's hilarious. And I'm a big fan. Also, Jon Stewart is falling upon hard times. His latest show has come to an end following creative differences from Apple. I guess they didn't want him to be as woke. And I guess he did want to be as woke, and it was a problem. Radio Streamer says, seeing as you're starting with a Tower of Skulls, I'd have it on hand. The puppies. I know, the puppies. We might have to get there. I'm not sure. What else have we got? Oh, we've got Greta Thunberg. She's trying to get herself back in the news again. Yeah, it's getting sad at this point, isn't it? You know, I mean, just look at that 1,000-yard Children of the Corn stare. Oh, dear. She's gone down the wrong path. I think her parents failed her. All right, what do we got next? Oh, yeah. Okay. J.K. Rowling says she'll do hard time before she calls a trans-identifying man a woman. Yes, and this is because in the UK, if the Labour Party gets in, they want to make it a 2-year prisonable offense for misgendering, and that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so then we're going to go into that a little bit deeper. I just got a new computer. I don't know why this is being so slow. California professor's post threatens violence against Zionist journalists and their children. So this one is very interesting because we've seen the left kind of take off the mask over the last couple of weeks. And yeah, it's kind of disturbing, but we're seeing what they really think and what they really mean. And it's not super fun. Then we're going to go through a bunch of stuff on Twitter, which we normally do. And that's always good fun. But first, let's go to these archaeologists. All right. Archaeologists discover a gruesome Tower of Skulls in Mexico City. Pioneers of gender equality, the Aztecs sacrificed women as well as men. This is from The Economist. Is The Economist normally this insane? I'm not really sure. The Economist has this. Pioneers of gender equality, the Aztecs sacrificed women as well as men. I wonder if there were any Aztec feminists. Because if there were, they were like, that's not the equality that we were asking for. Actually, we wanted to do the heart cutting. Actually, we don't really like the blood, so we just want to kind of to boss men into cutting out hearts and people's heads. Could we just do that instead? No, we didn't mean us getting sacrificed as well. No. It's kind of says the Aztecs were not gracious victors. Now, unfortunately, you have to there's a paywall here, so it doesn't really get into the whole feminism thing. I just thought it was kind of weird to be in the headline. I mean, what's going on with The Economist? Who, like, that's, I guess the editor comes up with the headlines and the subheadlines. He just suddenly thought that was a good idea. It's just weird, isn't it? Is it a symptom of just how weird our society has gotten? I guess so. It's pretty damn strange. Anyway, hold on one sec. I still got to check something out here. Okay, so we're over that. After it lied about Israel, the New York Times verification badge removed by X. A radio streamer says, I'm sure Me Too is around. Yeah, but they didn't mean like, cut out my heart too, or me too, cut out my heart. I don't think it was that. I think that they were a lot meaner. And I think it's kind of weird how I think the modern left is kind of infatuated with ancient cultures. And it's infatuated with this kind of, noble savage myth that everything was better. Everybody was nicer, better for the environment. People cared about the environment. They lived in balance with their environments. No, they didn't. No, that's a big lie. Because a lot of these, pre-industrial civilizations that they glorify, they weren't that nice. I mean, and the Aztecs is an example of that. I mean, they threw children into wells, right? Or cenotes, those kind of sinkholes full of water. They throw kids into those to try and get the rain gods to make it rain. They cut out a lot of people's hearts and decapitated a lot of people. I mean, they were doing it all the time. They were crazy about it. I mean, it wasn't a party until you'd cut out somebody's still beating heart. Not back in the Aztec days. I don't think a lot of like modern leftists would actually enjoy living in the times that they kind of glorify, or they just kind of naively romanticize. That's the word. I don't think they'd enjoy it. No internet, for one thing. No Huffington Post. Rachel Maddow would have like 15 kids, and that would just be it. That's all she'd be doing. All right, so the New York Times verification badge removed by X, and this is, I mean, it's awesome. I love this. The New York Times has been lying as long as it's been around. I mean, it lied about, on January 6th, it lied about Officer Sicknick. That's why everybody thought that he had died and, been beaten to death on January 6th. Not true. It was later. It was natural causes, had nothing to do with it. But the original report was published by the New York Times. They didn't retract for months. And then nobody even saw the retraction. Oh, they gave cover to Stalin in the 1930s. They were big Stalin fans. Big fans of Stalin, the guy who killed millions of people. There's a reason why they don't talk about the kulaks anymore. That was Stalin. They loved communism. They were infatuated with it, and they were apologists. And they hid the reality from the American people, from the people of the world. So that was bad. I seem to remember they weren't very good on the whole weapons of mass destruction thing, were they? They seem to be actually pushing that pretty hard. They seem to be playing along fairly well. So I don't understand. Hold on. Radio Streamer says it's a lens of propaganda. It's a lens of propaganda that all current institutions must help focus, even history. Yeah, I mean, the legacy media, the ones that want to appear respectable, have to go along with this narrative control. It's all they're there for. They don't want to get in trouble. Oh, well, I mean, there was the Russia hoax. Of course, there were every lie about Trump. They were all over that, of course. So my point being that they've been lying constantly forever. I mean, we know that. When leftists defend the New York Times, did they forget about weapons of mass destruction, that whole hoax? I guess they have. I guess they just don't want to remember. They probably like the Stalin stuff, the Soviet stuff. Big fans of that, especially these days. So what's it saying in here? New York Times, they must be angry. In the wake of the New York Times false reporting, claiming the Israel Defense Forces bombed a hospital in Gaza, a report which was later totally debunked, X, formerly known as Twitter, removed the Times verification badge. So they lied, and they removed the verification badge. Now, Elon doesn't like the New York Times because they've constantly been putting out stuff about how Twitter, now X, is, an orgy of hate and misinformation and all of that. So there's some poetic justice in this. Breaking, Elon Musk removed the New York Times verification badge following a flood of false information it published on the Israel-Gaza war. Good. And there you can see it's not there. Maybe it's back by now. I don't know. Readers added context they thought people might want to know. New York Times X handle have not been a verified account since August 5th when its verification for organization was removed. Oh. All right. I guess I probably should have done some more research before I started this stream, huh? Little One 830 says, Canada is so lost, I'd take the jail time too. And yeah, well, you're talking about J.K. Rowling there, right? And Canada, we're not there yet, although you know that Trudeau does want to get there. Canada is worse in some ways. It's better in other ways. But yeah, I mean, if Trudeau had his way, he'd just jail everybody who disagreed with him on anything. Hopefully, he will never get that opportunity. The polling shows right now, anyway, that if the election were today, the Conservatives would get a majority government, and his political career would be completely over permanently. Because he's an a-hole. So anyway, I should have done some more research before I started this stream. Oh, well, you can't win them all. But I guess the larger point is that they should never have a verification badge if that's what matters. If that's what, if that gives you any credit, or any authenticity, because they do lie constantly, and they've lied constantly throughout history. We all know it. Eventually, everybody else is going to find out too. All right, let's go to Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's latest talk show comes to an end following creative differences. So it was on Apple TV, The Problem with Jon Stewart. Now, my understanding is that it wasn't doing very well anyway. It started off kind of okay, not big numbers, but, it was on Apple TV, so maybe it wasn't expected to get huge numbers. But I saw that its numbers had sunk to like 40,000, literally 40,000 viewers. That's smaller than lots of YouTubers. So I have a feeling that even though this was kind of mutually parting ways, apparently, Apple wasn't too unhappy with it. I think that corporations are wanting to get out of the woke game, and this show, Jon Stewart's show, was pretty woke. There was an episode I saw where he was making excuses for, well, not making excuses. He was just totally pro child mutilation, the gender nonsense, the gender delusion, the gender cult. And it was the same smarmy stuff that we've always gotten from him. Um, and not actually well researched, just kind of smarm and I'm the good person, you're the bad person. Radio Streamer says ESG is all they care about. As far as Canada goes, I know a lot of them from the online gaming community, and I can tell you most of them are young and very conservative. Uh, Young Canadians are becoming more conservative. There's more young people that are going to vote for the Conservatives in the next election, at least right now, than the Liberals. So something is happening up here. I mean, it did get pretty extreme with Trudeau. Where was I? Jon Stewart, yeah. So, pushing, the gender cult. And then he had one which was like the problem with white people. So he had to go on about how bad white people are, which, I mean, we're all sick of it, right? I mean, it's just become boring at this point. It was always stupid, but it's just become so tedious now, right? It's actually just tedious and dull. And I don't think it was going over very well for Jon Stewart. He was not recapturing his former glory. He was failing. And I'm glad. I think that, back in the day, I was a liberal. I called myself a liberal, and I used to watch The Daily Show. I loved it. What I didn't understand, and a lot of people didn't understand back then, was that those interviews where they'd make the conservative, congressman or senator look like an idiot, those were completely manipulated. They were edited. They were fake. They were fake interviews. They do a long interview and then just cut out parts and mismatch them to make it look like he was answering a question that was not the actual question that he was answering. They take little parts out of context, and it's really deceptive and dishonest and slimy and scuzzy. Somehow I didn't realize, I think I had some suspicion because it's like, these people can't be that dumb, right? But that's what it was, and he pioneered that. And the smarminess, he did a lot of damage. He poisoned a lot of young people. He poisoned me once. I mean, not personally. He didn't put poison like in my food, right? Just mental poison, mind virus poison. Jon Stewart's latest talk show is reportedly coming to an end, following creative differences between the former Daily Show host and Apple's streaming service, where his show, The Problem, has run for 2 seasons. 2 seasons already. I mean, it made really no splash, didn't it? I don't think it barely got noticed. I think it had maybe a couple little viral things, but I mean, obviously Apple isn't too worried about it going away. Sources told the New York Times that Stewart and Apple decided to part ways after the TV host became frustrated with being hamstrung over guests and possible topics that would be discussed on the show, specifically regarding China and artificial intelligence. Another source suggested that the upcoming 2024 presidential campaign could lead to more creative differences. I think that corporations, again, are looking to get out of pissing off half the population. Like the pissing off half the population business. I think that is no longer really holding a lot of interest for them. We've seen it with a bunch of companies. I mean, I did a video this week on Victoria's Secret. They've dumped woke. They tried the fatties. The fatties didn't bring in the customers. They tried the lesbian soccer players. It didn't work. For some reason, I don't know. How could that not work? Stewart reportedly told members of his staff on Thursday that the show was over after production on the 8-episode 3rd season had already gotten underway with filming soon to take place. Good. I'm glad it's gone. He actually brings nothing to society anymore. He had his one moment of redemption where he was on Colbert and he was talking about the Wuhan laboratory and where did the virus come from. That was funny. Um, but and it gave me some hope that he was going to have a renaissance. And then he just went straight back to woke and conservatives are evil and all of that. So, no, fuck him. I'm glad his show is gone. Far left activist Greta Thunberg blasted for pro terrorism, anti Semitic post against Israel. I'm not really very surprised. She's like a child star whose time has passed and nobody's really interested anymore, you know? Just trying desperately to stay relevant. She doesn't really have much going for her. I mean, again, look at that Children of the Corn stare right there. It's terrifying. You're not going to cast that in a movie. We'll probably see her in like a celebrity rehab soon, I think. But it'll have to be like a communist rehab, though, because it turns out that she's anti capitalist and all that. That's always what's underneath, by the way. All the leftists, whether no matter what it is, whether it's eco or race or whatever, they're always communists. They're always anti-capitalists. That's the thing underneath all of it, and that's what it's all really about. And she exposed that. She told on herself when she started in with the capitalist nonsense. Uh, you just go, yeah, that's all young people with no historical literacy or perspective, right? And you just write them off. I mean, I wrote her off before, you know. I made many, many Children of the Corn jokes. I'm still doing it. I can't help it. It just feels good. It feels right. Again, just look. Are you telling me that's not Children of the Corn? Actually, she could be an actress. She could be in a remake of Children of the Corn. And it would be the scariest of all the movies. I mean, she wouldn't even have to act. She could just do that. Far left climate extremist Greta Thunberg faced backlash on social media for posting imagery that was widely condemned as anti Semitic and encouraging people to back organizations that support the extermination of Israel while posing in a photo with pro-Palestinian activists. Yeah, and it's amazing how, again, mask is off, and all of these commies, turns out they're not big fans of Israel, that's for sure. And seems to go a little bit further, you know? They have explained to us what they mean by anti colonialism or anti colonization. And it's horrific. Week 270, Thunberg posted on X, "Today we strike in solidarity with Palestine and Gaza. The world needs to speak up and call for an immediate ceasefire, justice, and freedom for Palestinians and all civilians affected." It's just that there's a little problem of Hamas in its charter says explicitly they want to genocide all the Jews. It will never stop. From the river to the sea means from the river to the sea. It means no Israel there, no Jews there. Like you can't you can't have a lasting peace with people who say they refuse to have a lasting peace. They refuse to have a two-state solution. It's all horrible and awful, but this is history, right? History is awful. The world is awful. We live in nice places, most of us. Most of the people listening to this live in relatively nice places, you know? World isn't a nice place. And there are difficult decisions that have to be made, and it's just not as simple as all of this, as this autistic, 20-year-old Swedish girl would have you believe. Because let's not forget, too, these calls to just end oil now, like end fossil fuels today. Obviously, if you did that, if you just stopped tomorrow, in a year's time, there'd be a billion people, literally a billion people dead. So you'd think in light of that, you'd start to come up with something a little bit more practical, right? But no, stop them right now. How dare you? How dare you? I mean, where does she think all that bird seed that she eats comes from? I imagine that she eats delicious bird seeds, and that's all that she eats. I'm probably right about that. Also, that her boyfriend is a tree. I feel I'm probably pretty close there. All right. Climate cult ringleader Greta Thunberg deleted her vile tweet in support of Hamas terrorists. Screenshots live forever. So apparently she deleted this. And let's take a look. Oh. So stand with Gaza. Here's her buddy saying this Jew stands with Palestine. I wonder how many of these people are actually Jewish that hold these stands, these signs. Because, I mean, like, surely she's seen the news, right? And you've got climate justice now, free Palestine. These things are all mixed up together. It almost doesn't, they almost don't matter individually. It's the whole thing, the gender wang stuff, the free Palestine, climate justice, BLM, they're all kind of the same thing. Again, they don't really, they're just pieces of a larger whole, of a larger communist revolutionary whole. And that's not being hyperbolic saying communist revolutionary. They genuinely are. And if you listen to them, they'll tell you that. Now, there's a little bit of controversy because here, behind Greta Thunberg, she's got this little octopus thing here. And that is very similar to a meme that's going around in anti-Semitic circles of an octopus with the same color, actually, with its tentacles around the planet Earth. And it's just a bit odd, isn't it? It's a little bit odd you just happen to have that octopus there in that picture. Now, maybe it's just purely innocent. I don't know. I do know that when I look at this picture, it looks very Children of the Corn, kind of evil. So, I don't know. Radio Streamer says, I just want to know how long most of these people supporting Palestine ignorantly would actually live if we just ship them over there to experience all of the overwhelming peace. Yes. The people that are in support and holding the signs and going out to march would not like to go there. I don't think they would enjoy their experience, especially Queers for Palestine. That's a real odd one. That's a real odd one. If they went to Palestine, they would definitely want to stay away from tall buildings. And I think you know why. All right. Hold on 1 second, you guys. I'm just going to put the music up for 1 second. I just want to check something out. Hold on. All right. Just wanted to check YouTube to make sure it's working. Again, I'm still a little ways away from actually figuring all of this out technically. Says there should be a few people on there on YouTube. If you're on there, maybe throw something in the chat and just let me know that everything is cool over there. And that would be very helpful. All right. I mean, who's over there? We got Hot Retarded Chick. Are you there? Who's there? Dearwood, are you there? Let's see. All right, where are we? Let's see. Radio Streamer says that one blew my mind too. Yeah, I think you're talking about Queers for Palestine. What a weird fucking thing. Pardon my language, but how little do these people know? That's the question, right? I mean, do they know literally nothing about these issues, about the people that they advocate for? Do they know literally nothing? I think the answer is yes. Oh, Radio Streamer is saying, come on, people, come on over to Rumble where the cool kids are. Yeah, actually, I would like everybody to come over to Rumble, to be honest, because it's only a matter of time before I get booted off YouTube. They're putting in a bunch of new stuff to try and, I mean, already my channel is so deboosted, so algorithmically strangled on YouTube. But they're putting even new measures into it now. I think some people might have just jumped over to Rumble. Where was I going with that? It's late. I probably shouldn't do these so late. I get confused, tired. Hold on, give me 1 second there. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, YouTube is fucking me all the time. Now, I did get it turns out they gave me a strike a long time ago, about a year ago or something, and it was for just simply quoting Trump in a video, just quoting him, right? I mean, isn't that what journalists are supposed to be doing? You know, I don't call myself a journalist, but isn't that what they're supposed to be doing? Like, isn't that supposed to be a normal thing? Quoting people, saying, this person said this. Now, I happen to agree with Trump with what he said about 2020, but that's not what the video was about. And so it turns out there's a new thing where you can take a test. So it used to be there was no recourse. So that strike, they took down my video, they gave me this warning strike where I didn't get actually suspended. But I got a strike, which was permanent. And now apparently it's not permanent. And I just realized that. And I went on and I took this test, this educational test, so that I'm qualified to make videos, right? And it's totally stupid. And it's a bunch of obvious questions. But in going through it, I realized the thing that they had taken down my video for and given me a strike for is no longer wrong. Like, you can do that now. Now you can do that. Now you can quote Trump. So apparently that strike's going to get taken off my channel, but I had to take this thing. Maybe what they should do is when they just change the rules, maybe what they should do is just find everybody who was given a strike for something that's not a strikeable offense anymore and just take it off. That would be good, because I still have to wait now until January until they take this strike off. Guess they're hoping I'll say something else wrong. Some more comments here. Hold on. From Radio Streamer, dude, the thing is, these people are told what to think at these college campuses, and they don't do any research at all. No, they don't. I know somebody who just got their master's, and he said basically all you have to do is just agree with the professor on everything. Professor's woke, just agree with them. That's it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can get a master's. Just agree. They're not teaching them how to think. These are indoctrination mills at this point. By the way, you may be amused to know that Steven Crowder did that test live on air. I didn't know that. I missed that. I think Viva Fry did it as well. But I missed that Crowder. I watch actually probably a couple of times a week. I watch a show. I watch it on Rumble. I make sure that I watch it on Rumble. And I think he's really good. I kind of miss Dave Landau on there. I think he was good. I think he was a lot better than the Josh Feinstein. I think Landau was better. I think Nick DiPaolo was fantastic. He's one of my favorites. But yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. All right. J.K. Rowling said she'd do hard time before she calls a trans-identifying man a woman. I'm not surprised to hear this from her, but it may become a reality. I mean, things that we thought were unthinkable not that long ago have become real. They've become reality. They arrested a woman in the UK not that long ago for praying silently on the sidewalk in front of an abortion clinic. She wasn't saying anything. Now, I think that they didn't end up putting her in jail. I guess maybe next year. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling has often spoken up for the sex-based rights of women, arguing for and even helping to fund single-sex spaces for women, particularly those who have been abused. She has often faced backlash. Let's get rid of that window. She has often faced backlash for that from transgender ideology activists, and she faced a whole new wave of criticism when she doubled down on Tuesday, admitting that she'd happily do prison time if forced compliance with preferred gender pronouns and identities were the alternative. Let's see. There's a tweet here. It says, "Repeat after us, trans women are women." And she says, no. It's really creepy, this kind of shit, you know? Really creepy. This attempts at mind control. And then somebody responded saying, "Vote Labor, get a 2-year stretch." And she said, "I'll happily do 2 years if the alternative is compelled speech and forced denial of the reality and importance of sex. Bring on the court case, I say. It'll be more fun than I've ever had on a red carpet." So this is real. I know it seems like it can't be real. Here's from the Daily Mail. Deliberately calling someone by the wrong gender pronouns may land you in jail for 2 years under Labor. So right now, they have a conservative government in England. But they're not doing that great, I don't think. I think that Labor is actually the Labor Party. That's their socialist party. Hold on. What the hell's going on here? That's their socialist party. And yeah, it looks like they might win the next election. That's what I've heard. And they're crazy. It says deliberately calling someone by the wrong gender pronouns could become a hate crime punishable by imprisonment under a Labor government. There. Oh, that's too much. Punishable by imprisonment under a Labor government. Vowing to toughen up the sentencing guidelines for abuse and violence targeted at trans people, Labor would make attacks motivated by hatred of the victim's gender identity into aggravated offenses. This would bring transphobic abuse into line with assault and harassment motivated by hatred on the grounds of race and religion, which are punishable by up to 2 years in prison. This is completely insane. Forcing people to lie creating prisoners of conscience. This is as Orwellian as it gets. Because that's what it means. It means forcing people to lie under threat of punishment, under threat of imprisonment, about something so fundamental as the truth, somebody's own truth, demanding that somebody entertain, that somebody indulge somebody else's, what I would consider in many cases delusion. Essentially going to prison for offending somebody. This is why I'm against, hate crime laws, because it's all in the eye of the beholder. It's who decides what's hate. The people who are deciding what's hate seem to be motivated by something other than that, other than what they claim they're motivated by. Seems to be they're motivated by power. This is just unconscionable coercion from the government. Now, it's not the law yet. If the labor gets in, this is what they're threatening to do. Or this is what they're claiming they want to do. I would say it's pretty terrifying. Because what else? What else will they make criminal? The author and her followers continued the conversation, with one saying that she'd see Rowling on the inside and hoped that she'd be put to work in the prison kitchens. Rowling's preference for a prison job was unsurprising. She said if given the choice, she'd like to work in the library. Yeah. She's having fun, but what happens when that becomes real? That's the question. You can joke about it because it doesn't seem like it could really happen, but it could. If you've been paying attention, it could. Let's see. Let's take a look in the comments here. Radio Streamer saying these imbeciles are how we have women getting pregnant in all the women's prison block. No men there. Yeah. Who could have predicted that? It seems like there's a story of that every week. Who could have predicted that? Who could have predicted that maybe somebody would pretend to be something that they're not, so they could get out of an all-men's prison and into an all-women's prison? Especially somebody who was in the prison for things they did to women. Oh, it says you may not want to read this one on YouTube. Sorry, I already did. It's pretty bad when I have to consider filtering myself in the chat window. Well, you don't have to on Rumble. We're fine here. We don't have to worry about it. And there's no reason to not want to, me to read that comment. It's common sense. It's, reality, right? And we're fine with reality here. But I will be scanning your, pre-scanning your chats from now on. So, just so you know. Jesus. California professors post threatens violence against Zionist journalists and their children. Again, the leftists are taking the mask off. Now, this was University of California professor. I think it was UC Davis. DeCristo is the second male to female transgender professor to make headlines this week for vitriolic statements against Jews. I don't even really want to read this. It's depressing. We might have to get the puppies out soon. One group of people we have easy access to in the U.S. is all these Zionist journalists who spread propaganda and misinformation. They have houses with addresses, kids in school. They can fear their bosses, but they should fear us more. There's a knife, an axe, blood. Look, I make fun of and criticize journalists all the time, but, not like this. This is psycho stuff. This is not stuff that you wish on your enemies, right? Like a good person doesn't go online. A person with a conscience doesn't do that. This is psychopathic, and this is a professor at a serious major school teaching young people. I mean, what is she saying in the classes? Can you even imagine? Truly bizarre. Now, I think that this person has actually been suspended, I think, for the purpose of just never bringing back again. Hopefully. University of California professor came under fire Thursday for a social media post that appears to threaten extreme violence in the U.S. against journalists reporting on Israel and their children. Yeah, I mean, where was it? Was it last week? I did a story on a professor in New York who had been fired from her job because she'd been causing trouble on campus, and then a reporter came to talk to her, and she pulled out a machete and held it to his neck. So she got fired. A couple of months later, she got hired at another college in New York. So this one looks like she'll probably be on the way out, but probably just get another job. Threatening, inciting violence against journalists and their children. Again, the left has taken off its mask. It's really time that everybody started believing what they say, listening to them, and believing what they say. Of course, this post was made just a few days after the deadly terrorist attacks against Israel by Hamas that killed more than 1,100 civilians. Well, now it's up to, I think, 1,600, I think. And, I don't want to look at the pictures and the images, but I mean, it's like pre-modern barbarism. It's, it's a mind frame that we can't understand in the West. That just, it can't make sense to us in the West, because it's stuff that you'd read about from it's stuff that you'd read about from, Genghis Khan, right? The Mongol invasion, something like that. Vlad the Impaler, horrible times in history. So somebody noticed the tweet, said, hey, UC Davis, do you think it's appropriate that one of your faculty advisors is publicly threatening to murder Jews at their homes and their children at their schools? Probably not. It really should be a firing offense, in my opinion. I don't think this is a free speech issue. I don't think that, incitements to violence and murder, I'm kind of okay with, I'm almost a free speech absolutist, but I'm kind of okay with getting rid of the incitements to violence and murder and all of that. Just not sure we really need it. All right, where are we going next? Radio streamer, yeah, you're going to be known forever for the puppy video palette cleanser. I'm afraid there's no way out for you, but we're not going there yet. All right, so let's go through some Twitter stuff here. Jonathan Kay, he's a Canadian journalist. And man, Canada is, in some ways, it is the worst. In some ways, it's not. It's not as bad as other places, but it's still pretty damn bad. All right, Jonathan Kay. Again, he's an excellent, actually, Canadian journalist. He says, in the space of maybe 5 years, Canada's NDP, that the NDP is Canada's, basically it's Canada's Socialist Party or Communist Party. Anyway, they have gone from the Workers of the World Unite to, if you come to my Hello Queer drag show, I'll tell you my cat's pronouns. And he's and he's talking about this tweet here. We are 1 week away from our spooky fundraiser, and we are almost sold out. You don't want to miss. And Janice Irwin and I in costume scarier than the UCP's half-cooked plan for your CPP. Boy, that's great. Night of the Living Drag. The Alberta NDP. So that's the provincial NDP party. I feel like the NDP is determined to make themselves unelectable. I mean, what the hell is this? Night of the Living Drag? Why do they think that drag queens have to be a part of everything? Really, we went for so long. I mean, my whole life my entire life I went without ever hearing one person say, what we need right now is more drag queens. You know, it'd be way more fun right now if there were drag queens. Or, you know, I really wish that drag queens could teach my kids how to read. It just seems like they teach them better for some reason. I never heard this. Then all of a sudden, it's like, from certain quarters, nothing else matters more. Night of the Living Drag. They're having a Halloween thing, but it can't be Halloween. It has to be Hello Queer, and then the living drag. And and then you look at it, you think, that doesn't look fun. It's not even scary, is it? It's just become absurd at this point. I mean, I'm not against people having Night of the Living Drag or Hello Queer Party. People can do whatever they want. It's just weird that a political party would tie themselves to this. They'd be so obsessed with this that it would seem like they just don't have any other ideas. All right, let's keep going. Oh, yeah. Here, journalists posting their L's. We all saw it coming, to be honest. Ryan Carson's girlfriend seen visiting his killer in jail. Yes, Ryan Carson was the leftist activist, the woke leftist activist in New York, who was out with his girlfriend late at night, and you can see in the picture there, that fellow there stabbed him to death. Now, the girlfriend, you can see her there. She's got the ACAB shirt on. That's All Cops Are Bastards. She's Antifa. If not actually an Antifa sympathizer. And I guess it's just a final humiliation, huh? That his girlfriend goes to visit the killer in jail. She's already said she doesn't think that he should be punished, and that I think they made her do a lineup, and she said she couldn't identify the guy. The friends said that he'd want the oppressed murderer to go free. They set up a GoFundMe because they said they needed to take time off work to mourn. I mean, it's all just, it's pathetic is what it is. I mean, what a final humiliation for somebody's life. His girlfriend goes to hang out with his killer in jail. I guess she's not working, too. She's got some time off. She's on vacation from the fundraiser. I wonder this guy, if right before it was all over, If he just, his life flashed before his eyes and he just said, oh, fuck, what did I do? I made a big mistake. I wonder. But this was somebody who advocated for all of these things, you know? So it's hard to have sympathy for people who advocate for things that harm other people and they don't care. It's hard to have sympathy. This is a classic. I thought you guys might. I never get sick of. I can. This is from Ricky Gervais. He reposted this, and I never get sick of this. Let's take a look.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? So, it's already 3 hours long. If you do win an award...
That's great. I could watch that a million times. I think that was the Emmys. And I guess he's reposted this because there's a lot of celebrity chatter. A lot of celebrities letting their thoughts be known on what's been happening in the Middle East. So, yeah, I think it's appropriate. I saw this. Apparently this document has come out from the George Floyd trial saying no life-threatening injuries identified, but it shows lots of fentanyl in his system. And I actually didn't pull up any of the articles talking about this, but as you can see in here, no life-threatening injuries identified, but lots of drugs. And apparently there is some question. People are questioning on whether or not the jury was influenced. Not only the jury, but also the decision to take it to trial in the first place. I mean, there's always been these questions, obviously. I mean, obviously the jury was intimidated in that. I mean, they had to drive them through a barricade to get in. I think one of the alternate jurors said, yeah, we were kind of scared of what would happen if it was the wrong verdict. Obviously, it was obviously a political prosecution. I haven't heard. In fact, I should really look into it and find out what's going on. Is there an appeal happening? I'm sure there must be. What's happening with that? But I felt the entire time this was an insane miscarriage of justice. The hold that Derek Chauvin had him in was one that they're taught. That's something that was happening every day across lots of police forces, right? It was just the perfect storm of political pressure. That's scary. I mean, that's scary when you know that here's a case where the law didn't really apply the way that it's supposed to. That it was politics, that it was the mob. It was to satiate the mob. Scary. Now, this one here, this account, this Wei Wu, I don't know whether this is a parody or what this is. I just find it kind of funny. She says, "My name's Wei, Chinese international student, like learning West culture, society, hate pervert, and Detroit." I don't know. I don't know whether this is serious or not, but I just find it funny. She's got a picture here of her new apartment, and she says, "I move into new place. I live alone. Why? My last roommate was very slut. Bring guys to house. Make slut sounds. I do not appreciate. Now my home quiet. I be more honor, more discipline, more hard work to go. Slut's biggest curse for West. This all. Thank you." That's an instant classic. I don't know whether it must be comedy. It must be. It's because it's too funny to not be. But whatever it is, I just want more. Oh yeah. So you got this. I don't know if you guys have seen this. It's this Well, let's read it here. Costco's new CEO started at the company operating forklifts and worked his way up to CEO after 40 years. Meanwhile, this 25-year-old Gen Z woman expects to be making $150,000 a year because she has a marketing degree. So let's listen.
I have a bone to pick with America! So I'm headed to my serving job. I fucking hate it. Why I make more money serving. I have my literal business marketing degree that put me in a cute $80,000 in debt. And I make more.
But why is that America's fault? So I don't get. I mean, nobody forced her to do that. I mean, I understand young people are told that this is what they need to do, but at the same time, I mean, you have to make that decision yourself. It's not really the world's fault. I can understand being frustrated. I genuinely can. But as you listen to this, it becomes a little bit less understandable. Let's keep going.
Serving sushi rolls. Because I've been applying to marketing jobs fucking for weeks now. And the pay cut is insane. Insane. But the jobs that are like a cute $150,000 to $200,000 a year, I'm not getting those.
Okay, so she makes more money serving sushi than she would at a marketing position because the marketing positions pay less. And the jobs that are $150,000 to $200,000, she can't get because she's not qualified. She doesn't have enough experience. Let's watch a little bit more.
Almost 25-year-old, my birthday soon, almost 25-year-old chick going against, corporate ass America, people with so much experience. All I got is my degree. People say, get your degree, but then they don't talk about how you need experience. The degree was the experience!
So no, the degree was not the experience. The way that she could get the experience is taking the job that pays less than her serving job. It sounds like she's had the opportunity to take those jobs and work her way up. She's 25 years of age, and she expects to walk in and make $150,000 a year when her experience is school. Yeah. I think a lot of people, if I was hiring, I would probably not hire anybody with a degree. Just because I would assume or I would be worried that they would have been, pre-indoctrinated and turned into a pain in the ass. Somebody who'll never be happy. I've heard from friends of mine who have hired people straight out of school, and they say that they're kind of useless. They don't know how to actually do anything or work. They just know how to go to school. So, it's nobody else's fault, really. She took on $80,000 to get is it even a completely worthless degree? I mean, is it worthless because you can't immediately at 25 years of age get a $200,000 a year job? I mean, it's apparently it would have been enough to get her a job, a starting job, a job that was not paying much money, but at least get her in, and then she could work her way through. Radio Streamer says, congrats, TikTok taught you to spend 60,000 plus on a piece of paper instead of a 4-year apprenticeship with no debt. Yeah. I don't have a degree. And I never needed one, apparently, because things worked out just fine for me. I think maybe it was just, working hard. Maybe that's what did it. And not having totally unrealistic expectations as a young person. Anyway, it's very correct. That girl's crazy. She needs to humble herself, I think. Now, I haven't seen this yet. I like Danny Polishchuk, and I like Ryan Long. And Trudeau versus Hamas from the Boys Cast. I haven't watched this, so I'm going to watch this with you guys, and we'll see what we think. They're usually pretty funny.
A bold move, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has demanded that Hamas return its hostages immediately. And while some people have called this an empty gesture, Trudeau has made one of the most brilliant geopolitical moves in history by letting Hamas know if those hostages are not returned by Monday, he is fully prepared to add Hamas to the 2S LGBTQIA+ acronym.
And you got to hand it to Justin for saying, and I quote, "If you don't think I have the stones to add letters to the acronym, well, then you don't know me very well. Please give me a reason. There's two things that give me joy, adding letters to that acronym and dressing up as different races. And I'm fresh out of face paint."
Trudeau has said that he can have the Hamas logo on every gay pride flag in the country by sundown if he chooses to. And he has told the leader of Hamas that he better pray 6 times a day that he's not in the mood this afternoon because he's feeling a little peckish to pop another letter on there as we speak.
The leader of Hamas said that he thinks Justin Trudeau is bluffing, but was also visibly shaken during the interview at the idea of being inducted into the gay umbrellas permanently.
Trudeau further responded by saying, "Look at the G's and T's. Remember when those were a separate thing? Not so separate now. It appears you don't know who you're dealing with because I can have drag queens teaching kids the Quran decked out in full gear before you can blink. And I'm not talking about adding Hamas to the plus either, right smack in the middle. And I'll be flying that flag full mast through majority Muslim neighborhoods, letting them know that Hamas is about that life."
Okay, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. It's funny because there's like a seed of truth in there somewhere. Hamas is about that life. Oh, that was gold. You're right, radio streamer. That was gold. Well, here's something nice. Might have to bring the puppies up soon. Canada will legalize medically assisted dying for people addicted to drugs. Yeah, this is one of the ways that Canada is worse than other places. Some drug user activists have likened the move to eugenics and say Canada should be funding more harm reduction. So let's see, Canada. Legalize drugs. When people get addicted, give them free drugs. And then when they're really addicted, kill them. So that's the plan. That's what the empathetic people, that's harm reduction, what we call harm reduction. I think a lot of people aren't aware that what they call harm reduction, which is legalizing drugs, which is giving away free drugs, which is safe injection sites, all that kind of stuff, basically making it normal to be a drug addict and perfectly legal to be desperate and on the street. A lot of people aren't aware that this has caused an order of magnitude greater overdoses and drug addiction in Canada, wherever it's been applied. They call it harm reduction. Seems like maybe they should come up with a different name for it. Like more harm. How about that? Or harm causing, something like that. Harm increasing. But this is, this is Canada now. Canada will legalize medically assisted dying for people addicted to drugs. Just think about that. I mean, as surreal as the world is getting, there are still some things that give you pause for thought, right? This has got to be one of them. You make it easier. You help people on the way to drug addiction, and then you kill them. Yeah, this is Canada. This is all stuff that would have just been unthinkable not that long ago. Yet here we are. This is what happens when you have a drama teacher for prime minister, for the leader of your country, and you elect him 3 fucking times. Not me. Stupid people. I mean, it looks like he is done now. People keep speculating about saying, well, he's going to resign. You know, he's too unpopular. No, he's not. He's a total psychopath. He's a total sociopath. He's not going to resign. He loves the power. He intends to keep it. That's why he's passing all of these bills, these internet censorship bills. That's why he hands out, hundreds of millions of dollars to subsidize the mainstream media so that they know who their paymaster is. No, he's not going to. He's going to try every trick in the book. I mean, I heard something earlier today, which was that the Trudeau government, the Trudeau regime, all they know how to do is campaign. That's all they actually do. They don't govern. They just campaign all the time. And when they are passing laws, they're insane. Let's move on. I feel like I'm getting closer to the puppies. I know Radio Streamers doesn't think that we need it yet, but we may. What's this? You know what? I don't think we'll go on to that one. We're going to take a look at that, but it's already starting to get kind of late. Let's just, here's on the illegally medically assisted dying. It's not just for drug addicts, by the way. It's just also depressed. If you're depressed, the Canadian government wants you to know that they've got your back and they're willing to kill you. Canada gives addicts free drugs, fueling their addiction until they're ready to die. Starting this spring, we'll pay doctors to legally kill them too. What a compassionate society. Yeah, it turns out that the people who claim to be the ones with all the empathy, they seem to be a bit, psycho. They don't seem to actually be very empathetic at all. They seem to favor policies that end up hurting people. It's just weird, isn't it? They tell you they're going to solve all your problems. They're going to solve everything, that you can just count on them. You don't even need to count on yourself. Just count on Justin. And the next thing you know, it turns out they're very happy to euthanize you. Yeah. This is one that I think every far leftist, a video that every far leftist should watch. So Yuri Bezmenov, he was a Soviet KGB officer, and he defected to the United States, and then he spilled the beans on the Soviet psychological warfare plans, basically demoralization, crisis, revolution. They're trying to destroy the United States through psyops, essentially. Here he explains, this is a segment of it where he explains what happens to communist activists after the revolution. Leftists should all pay attention to this, because it happens the same way every time.
Normalization. At that stage, the self-appointed rulers of the society don't need any revolution anymore. They don't need any radicalism anymore. So this is the reverse from destabilization. Basically, it is stabilizing the country by force. So all the sleepers and activists and social workers and liberals and homosexuals and professors and Marxists and Leninists are being eliminated physically sometimes. They've done their job already. Okay? They are not needed anymore. The new rulers need stability to exploit the nation, to exploit the country, to take advantages of the victory. Okay? So no more revolutionaries, please. Normalization now. From now on, no more strikes, no more homosexuals, no more women lib, no more kid lib, no more lib, period. Good, solid, democratic, proletarian freedom.
But to eliminate the others, to execute the others, don't they serve some purpose? Wouldn't they be the ones they rely on?
They serve purpose only at the stage of destabilization of a nation. For example, your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot.
So yeah, so all of the activists, there's no longer any use for them, right? So the professors who, they think they're going to be, thought leaders after the revolution. No, they're no longer useful, right? They're useful idiots. Once the revolution happens, they don't want any more revolutionaries around, right? Because they might get ideas. They might get new ideas. They might not like the way the revolution turned out, right? So they all have to go. Like every leftist should be paying attention to this, should watch this. They should know this and memorize it. Because he's telling you the truth. And like, this is what happens after revolutions. They get rid of the revolutionaries. They don't need them anymore. At that point, they just become dangerous to the new leaders. So yeah. Useful idiots, huh? Victoria's Secret drops feminist makeover after sales slump. Executives now plan to prioritize sex appeal over female empowerment in its marketing. So the lingerie company has planned to prioritize sex appeal. This should not be surprising. I guess what was surprising is that they went woke and they decided to go. I guess they were trying to expand their appeal, but the problem is they broke the cardinal rule of marketing, is that, it should be aspirational. People should want to be like the people in the marketing, in the pictures. And if they look and they think, I don't want to look like that, well, then they're not going to buy your product, are they? Right? Like, whoever it is who's looking for anything in marketing, they should look at that and they should think, I want some of that magic, right? Lingerie company, women look at it and they should think, I want some of that magic. I want to look like her or as close to that as I can. And maybe by buying this, I can do that. They don't want to look like somebody who spends a lot of time at buffets because it's not sexy. So it's not really very surprising, is it, that they would have to do this about face on this. The thing is, too, is that it gets so much good press for them. Like when you do the empowerment thing, which is just wokeness, it generates an enormous amount of good press from woke journalists, from leftist journalists. They're almost all leftist, liberal. Actually very few actual liberals, because there's very few journalists who actually believe in free speech anymore. But yeah, you don't want your customers to look at the picture and they subconsciously smell bacon grease, right? It's bad. What's a radio streamer saying here? It's we're talking about the Marxist revolutionaries, the wokesters. They think they will be killed last, that they will have power, and they want sheep, not leaders, under lower rings of society. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the truth, right? They want stability after the chaos and the crisis and the revolution. They want stability after that for themselves, because they don't want to be deposed themselves. The people who end up, getting the power. What else we got here? Oh my God. This is hilarious. I did I did a video on this. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I think it's worth another look. See if we can. There we go. Okay, hold on.
A reminder that we will enforce gender parity at the mics, and Adrian explained the process with the yellow card as well. So please remember to give space to those who face systemic barriers and discrimination, including women, Black, Indigenous, and racialized folk in particular, people living with disabilities, and 2S LGBTQIA+ folk.
So this is the NDP again, the Socialist Party of Canada, basically. She could just say, you know, everybody but white men, or straight white men. She could just say that, but I guess it sounds better when you just list through all of the people that you're pretending are oppressed in Canada. By the way, Canada is a very nice country in terms of, it is not racist. It's not a bigoted place. There's this incredibly insidious word. I don't know if they're using it much in the States or in the UK or Australia, but this word racialized, this incredibly insidious word, racialized. So anybody who's not me is racialized. And that term, racialized, you can't just be yourself. You can't just be an immigrant or somebody who was born here who's not white and just be that person and be living a life. No, there's something being done to you, according to them. And this is all through the media now. That every journalist is using this word, racialized, CBC, right? It's something that's being done to you. It's to make it so there's no way out, so that you have to buy into their leftist garbage. They're saying that it doesn't matter what you think. You're racialized. This has happened to you. It seems to me like a bad idea when you're taking in, a million people a year, that when they get here, you immediately tell them that they've been racialized. This thing has happened to them. They're automatically oppressed, which is a lie. That is not Canada. It sickens me, to be honest, just how incredibly dishonest these people are. But anyway, let's continue.
Our convention has special speaker priority for gender equity. If you identify with a gender other than men for the purpose of the equity-seeking rule, you will have received a piece of yellow cardstock during the registration process. So please raise this piece of yellow cardstock when you arrive at the...
So, if you identify as anything other than a man, they have to give you a yellow card, because that's so they can tell that you're not a man. So you hold up the yellow card so they know that you're not the thing that you obviously are. And they can pretend you're the thing that you're obviously not. How do this just seems like, even in Canada, this doesn't feel like a winning strategy to me. It's just too goofy.
Mike, so that myself and Adrian as chairs can identify you easily. If you don't have one, there will be additional cards available at the mics. As always, if you require support, please flag a volunteer and they will be happy to assist you. As New Democrats, we strive to create inclusive spaces where everyone gets a voice at the table. There is also a roving mic for anyone with accessibility needs.
Striving to create inclusive places. Well, all they have to do is not be bigots, right? Wouldn't that suffice? Just don't oppress each other. I mean, apparently they have to make all these rules to keep each other from oppressing each other. Doesn't it seem weird? Doesn't it seem like this must be the most bigoted place in the country? But they have to make up all these rules. They have to police themselves so much to make sure that they don't do any isms or ists or phobes. I guess they just don't get the irony. I think the left is trying to kill irony, actually. I think that's one of their main goals. They're certainly trying to kill comedy. I think it's because they don't like being laughed at. Now, okay, this is great. Now, Jack Posobiec said, can politicians please stop eating during interviews? But this is the clip that's gone very viral all over the world. This is, if you're not Canadian, this is Pierre Poilievre. He's the leader of the Conservative Party right now, the official opposition in Canada. He is positioned to win the next election. Please, please let him win the next election. But this is pure gold. And Sobek is wrong here. The Apple totally sells this. Let's watch.
I don't really believe in that.
Electional levels, I would. On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, you know, this and that, right wing. You know, I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, a lot of people
don't really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
like who?
I don't know who, but
well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
Okay, I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, you know, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a, you know, it's quite a play that you make on it. So I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question is.
Then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense. Okay. Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government. You know, the guy prints $600 billion, grows our money supply by 32% in 3 years. That's growing the money 8 times faster than the economy. No wonder we have the worst inflation in 4 decades. I'm going to cap spending, cut waste, so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. You'll want to be able to pay your mortgage again? You want to be able to afford rent? Then you have to vote for Pierre Poilievre, because I'm the only one with a common sense plan that will bring back the buying power of your paycheck.
So the journalist could have just asked the question, right? Without the preamble, without the narrative spinning beforehand. It's so beautiful the way he just so casually just dismantles this propagandist, right? Because the journalist, he couldn't just ask the question, right? That's not enough, because he's an activist as well, as most journalists are these days. So he can't just ask the question, because it's not going to be what he wants, right? So he's got to try and poison the well beforehand. He's got to try and spin this narrative to manipulate people before they hear his Poilievre's answer, so that they won't like his answer, right? And it was so beautiful watching him just dismantle it, just basically humiliate the guy, destroy him, you know? This is the conservative leader I think we've been waiting for a while in Canada. I think he's great. Now, is he perfect? No. You know, are we going to have to keep pressure on him? There's always, I think there's going to be a temptation to go Trudeau light on some things because of the relentless pressure from the media, as you can see with this journalist. I mean, that was pathetic. It was so transparent. They apparently don't care. He doesn't like the Conservative Party. He will vote for Trudeau until the end of time. He will vote for Trudeau when he's lost everything, when he has to go live in a tree, right? When he has no food. But yeah, there's enough Canadians that are seeing through all this right now, and he's well ahead in the polls. And again, looking to take a majority government in the next election. Please, please let that happen. Again, not perfect. We're going to have to keep pressure on him, but he's pretty good. And I don't know. it just makes me feel good to see him just humiliate that narrative spinning activist journalist. I hope you also enjoyed it. It gives me hope for the world. All right, well, here's that crazy NDP lady again. She's awful. Some more stuff. We don't need to get into that. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's the polling from October 15th. CPC with 194 seats versus a Liberal Party with 90. I believe to have a majority government, it's 172, I believe. It's late. I think that's what it is, though. So well ahead. Very well positioned. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done, people. We've been going for an hour 37. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Maybe let me know in the chat. I'll give you like 20 seconds. Here, I'll put some music on for a second. All right. So, yeah, I don't think I got anything else for you. I think we're going to have to call it a night. Radio Streamer says, I think you did a pretty good job, man. I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it too. And thank you for being in the comments because it makes it way more fun for me. Way, way more fun for me. It makes the time fly, actually. You know? Maybe a shout out to get more people to come over to Rumble next time. Yeah, I mean, we're getting more people on Rumble than we are on YouTube. It's still not a huge number, but we're getting more every time. Over the last 3 weeks, we've got more people in. Now, actually, a bit of housekeeping. The next 2 weeks, now next Friday, I'm going to try and do a live stream. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm hoping to. If I can't do it on Friday, maybe I'll try and do it on Saturday. But I'm just not sure. Things are kind of really up in the air. And it's just these next couple of weeks. Normally it's not a problem at all. But then the Friday after that, so in 2 weeks, I do not think I'm going to be able to do one at all. In fact, I will not even be home. So I'm going to have to, I'll probably still put out some videos that I will do from my hotel room, but they'll be my regular videos, not a live stream. But I'll try if I can to do, I really want to do Friday nights. I want to keep that going because it's been a lot of fun so far. The next week I'll be putting out video. Hopefully I'll be putting out a regular video, my 5 to 8 minute long videos or 4 minute to 8 minute long videos. Hopefully I'll be putting one out every day next week, just missing the live stream. Then the week after that, yeah, it's going to be a little bit sparser, I think. Might only be able to put out a couple, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, that was super fun. I wish I could go longer, but I just don't have anything else, and I'm tired. I'm tired. That's an hour and 40 minutes of babbling endlessly. But thanks for listening, you guys. And